The name of our series is Title IX, 50 Years On, as we celebrate the 50th anniversary of Title IX. Pleased to be joined by Cathy Clark Borich, Marietta College class of 1990. I'm assuming Fort Bragg High School, 86?
Correct.
That's right. Multiple Hall of Fames, OVAC, Marietta College, Mid-Ohio Valley Hall of Fame. Let's jump back to age 9 or 10, if we can, Cathy, and talk a little bit about access for you to sports. I assume there wasn't that big of a problem finding a gym or a game, but maybe you can kind of fill us in on some of those early recollections of you playing basketball or any sport.
Yes, my earliest recollection of playing basketball probably would have started when I was in about second grade. My brother Rick is 7 years older than me. So, I think having an older brother who was involved in sports would definitely piqued my interest for sports. And, where we lived, there were a lot of kids in our neighborhood who were very sports-oriented as well. So I always was kind of the tag-along with my brother, and that's how I truly got interested in basketball. But as far as the opportunities, to actually play games with other girls was just not there. Even when I was in elementary school, 5th and 6th grade, there was not basketball for girls. Matter of fact, I think my 5th grade year, Jandy King then, she was the first girl really to play in the boys' league. Other than that, it was pretty much you were a cheerleader. At that age. So, most of my playing came on the basketball court with my brother, against, other guys, basically. That's kind of how it all started for me. And the first time I played on an organized team would have been in 7th grade.
Our guest is Cathy Clark Borich, and it's interesting because I'm 5 years or so older than you are, and had an opportunity, when I first got into the broadcasting business, to do your games. I loved that. But you are the only one that I can remember in my mind, or at least the first one, a female that I saw regularly playing in the guys' games, meaning like City League or Betsy Mills, or in obviously you held your own or you wouldn't be out there, but I don't remember seeing anybody else do that, but I do remember seeing you do it. What's your thoughts on that?
Yes, I believe when I played in the Marietta Rec League, I was the only female, and then 3 or 4 years into it, there was another female that played on a different team. I don't know, who that was, but I do know that, to start with, the other teams in the league were not real pleased with the fact that I was playing. And I didn't honestly really worry about that too much because the team that I was playing on, they were all fine with me being on the team.
Right.
So that was, really, I guess my biggest concern was, well, if the men who I'm playing with, don't mind that I am on the team, then, no offense, but I didn't really care what the other teams thought. I would just go out and try to prove myself and, show that, in fact, I did belong there.
Wow, that's really cool, the way you phrase that for us. As we look at your body of work in terms of, all the Hall of Fames and, the 100 greatest athletes. There you are at number 2, Marietta College, and all these names and things that come out. Did you feel these different stages of life, high school, college, post, parent? I mean, are they demarcated, or is it just kind of roll together?
No, I think there's definitely, a separation, and I think as you age and you mature, you begin to look at things a little differently, or even look back on events that have happened in your past a little bit differently, or appreciate things more, as well as, having my own children. give you a very different perspective
Sure.
on things. And, high school was a very positive experience for me. I always looked up to, Lisa Ribble. She was an outstanding player from Fort Fry as well. So, I had really good role models in that respect. And then, heading into college, I just wanted to play in college. I can't say that I had certain expectations other than I knew I loved the game and I wanted to try to go somewhere where I would definitely have the opportunity to be playing because, like I said, I loved it. I loved playing, and I was fortunate enough to have had that opportunity at Marietta College. As far as my personal accomplishments there, that wasn't something that I had as a goal. I was fortunate that it just kind of happened. I worked hard. I played with very good people around me. I mean, it is a team sport. I could not have accomplished those things had I not had the people around me and the coaches, to also, support that. And then post, college, I still loved playing the game a lot and was still involved that way. But then as I get older and, you really can't play anymore, or you have your own kids playing, it's like you appreciate that. Or I feel like I do. Like I appreciate that time that I had, that I was able to play and do something that I'm very passionate about. And to be able to do it at the level I did, it's just, it's a blessing. I thank God every day that I had that opportunity. But even more so than that, it's, as I look back now, I don't really think about the records, the numbers. I don't think about those things. I think about the people.
Yeah.
It's the relationships that I made in high school, the relationships that I made with my players and my coaches in college that are far more important to me now than any type of record, award, or honor that I ever received.
I don't feel like I phrased the question very well, but man, did you answer it perfectly. So I appreciate it's just a different kind of passion to be a part of a game, obviously, that you're so close to. I always think about, man, somebody that played at a world-class level, and then you got to be a fan, or then you got to be a mom, or then you got to be a teacher, whatever the case might be, and you still want to get a charge. And I assume you can still get it that way as well.
Yes, I do enjoy coaching. As a matter of fact, I did some coaching, when Brooke and Morgan were younger, and then once they really started to play, I, wanted to be a spectator. But Brooke and I now coach a travel basketball team in the spring and summer, and, that's a lot of fun. Brooke and I have that opportunity, and I, again, feel very fortunate to be able to do that with her. For such a long time she was the player, and I always tried to make it so that I wouldn't really talk about, how they played or, how she did, or even like with Morgan, unless they brought it up.
Right.
And then I would, say my thoughts. So to kind of have this different role with my daughter coaching, it's really special. I really enjoy it, and Brooke enjoys it. We love the girls we coach. We've got a good group, and it's fun to teach them a game that you enjoyed so much and are so passionate about. But there again, I find it enjoyable to kind of use basketball more as like teaching points for life lessons too.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
I enjoy that part of it as well.
All right, we're going to take a break. We're talking to Cathy Clark Borich, class of 1990, Marietta College, and 86, Fort Fry High School. Title IX, 50 years on is our topic, and we'll touch a little bit more on that and also this transition into coaching with a daughter when we come back. Johnny Wharff, and the series is Title IX, 50 years on. Cathy Clark Borich is is our guest, and you said you don't think about the record. Are you telling me you don't have 2311 posted up in your garage on the wall, the big number? I'm just kidding you. Let's talk a little bit about, that's, by the way, for the listeners, that's the OAC career scoring record, still holding on 32 years on, or whatever. Is it that long?
I believe so.
Goodness gracious.
Time flies, right?
Wow. All right, so in terms of, when I called you, you're the youngest of the people that I've interviewed. I talked to Betsy Mitchell and Debbie Lazoric and Tina Thomas and Gene Arbuckle, and I wasn't sure if you would have felt, and even they didn't really think about Title IX. Maybe Tina Thomas talked about how it kind of changed. She was the first athlete, but man, you started when you were 2 or 3, or your first recollections. So did Title IX even ring with you at all when you were young, or did you know what it was about?
No, not really. I did recognize that, Title IX was there, and I didn't really realize until later years that, it was more like for the workforce when it was first implemented. And then, it kind of carried over into, like, the education and the sports world. But I never really thought about that, growing up. It was like, as I look back now to see the opportunities that females have, it's like, wow.
Right.
They're so fortunate. I didn't have all that. But I guess it's kind of one of those things, you don't miss what you don't have,
right.
And you don't realize, at the time. So,
right. You also had the gumption to say, as long as the guys are willing to let me play, I'm going to go play with them too. And I think that would be sometimes hard for just anybody to do.
Oh, absolutely. And again, I think a lot of that had to do with, having an older brother.
Sure.
Who played and just kind of took me along, and, he instilled a lot of the attitude of, don't let anybody kind of tell you can't do something. If you set your mind to it, you're going to be able to do it. So.
Cathy Clark Borich is our guest. Title IX, 50 years on, is the subject. And I wanted to just kind of a final thought, and it relates to you and Brooke coaching. But was there any that you recall opportunities for these travel teams or AAU or any of that kind of stuff at all when you were in high school or younger?
No, it was really just getting started then. I do recall going to the Eastern Ohio basketball camp, and that was just shortly after it had, been, I guess, in session for a few summers, and they chose girls at that camp to play on what you would call now an AAU team. But I did make the team, but then I opted not to play. So other than that, it was just like there really wasn't that. There weren't those opportunities for the travel teams, or even in high school, like we didn't have shootouts.
Right.
In the summer, it was pretty much you just had open gym a couple of nights a week, and that was it. Right.
I have a bad habit of, after I say one more question, then I ask one more question. But
that's okay.
It's engaging. In terms, are you surprised at the 23-11 and field goals made in a game and in these records that hang on the game? It seems it has changed so much. Does any of that, do you look back and keep thinking, well, somebody's going to get it?
No, I don't really think about that. I always say, which I'm sure you've heard before, records are meant to be broken, and if somebody breaks it, then, so be it. I, again, just enjoyed playing the game, and what happened. I do think that, like you said, the game has changed a lot. I didn't get the three-point line until my sophomore year in college.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't really shoot three-pointers. Yeah, I'd shoot three-pointers if we needed it, but, you know, that was not, like, really within my shooting range because I didn't grow up with it.
Right.
So I didn't shoot a lot of threes, and, you know, if you go to a lot of the college games now, to me, from what I've watched, players don't play as long
of
a period of time in a game.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, like, to me, if you see a girl play 25 minutes, 28 minutes, that's quite a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I was playing almost 40 minutes a game. You know, sometimes I was only out for a minute.
Yeah.
Or 2 minutes. So I think, you know, that definitely plays into it, too, the amount of time that I played, you know, per game based on a lot of the minutes that players are playing nowadays.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I talk a lot about sometimes, you know, when I look back on my career, you know, when I first got into it, there were just a handful of people, Mark Bradley at Marietta High School and you at Marietta College. That's when I started broadcasting, and that's what made me love my job, watching you play. So I'm glad to have been a part of that. I appreciate you taking the opportunity to spend some time with us on the radio, and we'll wish you the best going forward.
Well, thank you.
And again, our subject is Title IX, 50 Years On, made possible on the radio by Marietta College.